Shalom and blessings. I am Prophetess TayoReed. God speaks to us. He speaks to you. Whether you hear him or not, he does speak, and he is speaking. He's speaking through me to you today, right now, at this moment. And when he is speaking and you do hear him, obedience is better than sacrifice. So many times, God will speak to his people, especially through his prophets, like in Ezekiel. Prophet Ezekiel was sent to warn the children of Israel because they were stubborn, they were rebellious, they were hard-hearted. He said, "Son of man, I am sending you to the Israelites, to a rebellious nation that has rebelled against me. They and their ancestors have been in revolt against me to this day." When the Heavenly Father tells his people to deliver a message, it's hard. It can be difficult. However, we are accountable for delivering a message to the people because this is how our Heavenly Father communicates with us in this earth. This is how you know what God is saying, because he speaks through his people, especially through his prophets. And I'm speaking of the prophet Ezekiel because he was sent, one of many sent, to deliver a message, a warning to the people, the house of Israel. And he said, whether they listen or not, tell them anyway. Because of the goodness of our Heavenly Father, he wanted to send them a warning. Now, God can do whatever he wanted to do. He could have destroyed them, but he didn't. He wanted to warn them. Even though they had transgressed against God, he still wanted to give them a warning. He said, I want you to tell them and warn them about their wickedness. Ezekiel, the prophet of God, was made a watchman over Israel to bring them a warning. And when someone brings you a warning, take heed, because that warning is meant to save your life. I want you to imagine for one moment that you have a message that would save someone's life, and you going to talk to them knowing that they're not going to listen. It's a possibility that they will, but you've already got heads up that they stubborn, they stuck in their ways, they haven't listened to nobody else, what make you think they're going to listen to you or I, but yet and still God said go tell them anyway, because you're accountable. Because if they die and you don't tell them, then their blood is on your hands. But if you tell them and they don't turn, or they don't straighten up and go right, then they just going to die in their iniquity, and you're not accountable, and you don't have to worry about it. But now, when you warn someone who is righteous and who's trying to live right, and then they make the correction, then they're going to live. And you have done your part. Some people may get the impression that when you are calling them out on their sin and what they're doing, that you're being judgmental, but really it is a warning from God above, a warning from a man or woman of God, a messenger from our Heavenly Father. Our God is so full of love. He's going to give you a warning through his people, his men and women of God, so that you can correct your sin, your bad habits, and so that you can turn from the wickedness that you have connected with and have cultivated. And he will come to you in many different ways, and you're hearing the same things over and over again, because we are living in the last days. And in these last days, God wants you to know it doesn't matter if everybody is doing it. It doesn't matter if it's a trend. It doesn't matter if a celebrity is endorsing it. It doesn't matter if everybody is doing it. It doesn't matter if people are telling you that it's okay, do what thou wilt, live your life, pursue what is making you happy. As long as it's making you happy, then don't worry about it. Yes, you do need to worry, because the Heavenly Father is giving warnings about sin and giving warnings about the things that are happening in the world that are evil and that are wicked. He is sending out warnings. And so when people are pumping you up and making you feel secure in your sin so that you can be comfortable where you don't have a conscience anymore, you will die in that sin. What happens is, so many times people disregard the warning signs and they end up losing their life. Because you and I and the whole world know that anything that comes easy, it's just not even worth any value if it comes easy. If a man comes easy, if a woman comes easy. The prophet Ezekiel had specific instructions from Abba Father that he had to do. And he was obedient. And one of the things, as you read, it said constantly, fear not, do not be dismayed. So obviously these children of Israel must have been very threatening. So it doesn't say why he said that. When somebody tell you to fear not and don't be dismayed, it's probably because it's some real dangerous, intimidating people, and they ain't gonna have it. They ain't gonna try to listen. But regardless of what they look like, regardless of what their facial expression is, how they looking you up and down, regardless if they ignoring you, speak that word. Speak that word. Speak that word. Speak that word. As believers, we have to speak that word. I want to encourage my believers right now, because there are some of you that have been intimidated or embarrassed or haven't had the confidence to speak the word that you know that's in your heart. You are full of the word, but you've been intimidated by Israel. You've been intimidated because they look threatening. But God said, deliver this word and be not afraid. Be bold and courageous. He said, fear not and be not dismayed. Number one, he with you. Number two, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. But we have to preach this word, and we got to get this word out, because there's a warning for the people. Our people need to be warned, and some people don't know, and some people do know, and they're not ever going to change, but it doesn't matter. It does not matter, because God said, I want you to warn the people. We are responsible for preaching the word. We're not responsible on how they receive the word. We're just a messenger to make sure that we're giving the word.